So, yesterday, of course, myself, along with a lot of people, talked about the whole situation with Ring of Honor. That that news just came out of nowhere. Basically, long story short, Ring of Honor and Sinclair Broadcasting, who owns Ring of Honor, made the decision to basically go on hiatus after Final Battle at the end of the year to reevaluate the inner workings, basically reevaluate, where they go in 2022, how they can, make the product more appealing, I guess you could say, to the wrestling fan base, as well as make it more fan focused or something like that. And a lot of people, they read, everything that I've read, they talked about it amongst themselves, and the overall consensus is it doesn't look like Ring of Honor, even if it does come back, which it sounds like they want to come back for Supercard of Honor in April, that it doesn't sound like it's going to be the same Ring of Honor as we once knew. Some are believing or speculating it could be a stripped down version. Some are worried that Ring of Honor may go in the direction of being a smaller version of WWE, stuff like that, where it's more like, there's wrestling, but we're going to be more entertainment-wise. Some are looking at it being like, a Chikara. Remember, Chikara was wrestling, but it was also entertainment, kind of like, a mixture, if you will. A lot of speculations and theories as to where they believe Ring of Honor may, end up next year, as a product. Whether it's going to remain the same, and the only thing that changes is how they balance the checkbooks, or basically whether or not it's going to be stripped down, or it's going to be something similar to WWE or Chikara or whoever. But we'll see. There's even theory and speculation that it may not even be around at all. That the only thing that we might get is a, digital version of Ring of Honor. Like, here's the best of the Ring of Honor wrestling that was to celebrate 20 years, and then that's it. We don't know. But there was some updates that happened throughout the day, especially in the evening. Now, according to what this says, and this is from 411 Mania, but I printed it out as best I could. But this is from 411 Mania, and this is what it says, and I quote, courtesy of Fightful.com. More details have come out about today's talent reportedly being released from their contracts. Fightful reports that the talent released from the contract goes beyond the end of the year, or reports that the talent released from the contracts go beyond the end of the year. Talent. Oh, wait a minute. Let me rephrase that. Basically, okay. Let me not read all this, because again, the way it printed out was just unusual. I cut out a few things. But what it is basically, long story short, is, as I mentioned yesterday, and others mentioned this. Basically, the talent, most of the talent that's under contract right now, for the rest of this year, will not be renewed. Those contracts will not be renewed, and the talent will be free to go wherever they want. They might even be able to do that right now as we speak, but that's still up in the air. Even Brian Alvarez is not entirely sure about that, but I'm pretty sure he is now. But that's the gist of it. That talent will be officially out of their contracts at the end of the year, and everything, and that they'll be allowed to go elsewhere without any problems, and they might be able to do that right now as we speak. However, talents that have contracts that go beyond the end of the year, those talents will be paid until March 31st. In other words, talents who have contracts that expire in 2022, maybe 2023, whatever, they will be paid until the end of March next year. And then after that, just like the talent that will be officially released from the contracts at the end of this year, they will be allowed to go elsewhere without a problem. They still might be able to go elsewhere without a problem. It's just, they have some contractual obligations to ROH and Sinclair throughout that entire situation, which might make it a little bit of an issue if they want to be booked here or there. Now, like I said in the video yesterday, talent was told to go to Greg Gilliland if they want to get out of the contracts early, or that are under contract and want to get out of it early. that the company will work on making that happen. In other words, get out of the contract early, or while they're under contract, be able to go work elsewhere when the opportunity presents itself. Now, pretty much that's in line with what I and others talked about yesterday when it came to this whole situation that is, with Ring of Honor. Now, what's interesting is later on in the day, Ring of Honor COO Jeff Koff, that's Koff, spoke with PW Insider about the development and said they said this. This is what Jeff Koff said. This is a transcript from courtesy of Fightful. But this is what Joe said to PW Insider, and I quote, "We care very deeply about our people and our talent. This is contractual and an individual conversation. I'm not going to comment on it at this point." Now, basically what he's saying is he's trying to respect the privacy of the talents. He's trying to respect the privacy of what the inner workings of the company and stuff. But I think that changed later on when he spoke to others about the entire situation. Now, it said, this is what 411 Mania puts out, and I quote, from the original report. The original report was that Ring of Honor made the huge announcement that the company will be undergoing a hiatus following Final Battle 2021 in December, with plans to reimagine the company and find a new mission and strategy. However, it also appears all wrestlers currently under contract with the promotion have now been released. Pure F4WOnline.com's Dave Meltzer. More details are forthcoming, but Meltzer reported that ROH has released, quote-unquote, everyone from their contracts. Continuing on, to potentially shed more light on what this means for the future today, where they were informed that their contracts were expiring at the end of the year, I can't read it because of the picture right there, but basically what I'm getting out of this is that what I'm getting out of this, they will not be held back from working anywhere, basically. In other words, the contracts are expiring, but that won't prevent them from working anywhere, because again, they're told to go talk to this Greg Gilliland guy, and then that's how they'll be able to work something out. Now it says, beyond that, Ring of Honor is still reportedly planning to continue taping the weekly show later this weekend. In other words, they still have plans to do tapings that lead into Final Battle, but will be this weekend. It'll be moving forward as that will build into Final Battle, moving forward as planned, with the event likely serving as a major endpoint of the promotion before the cited reimagining takes place. Now, that's really about it that I got from this. But it says Ring of Honor Final Battle is currently scheduled for December 11th at Baltimore's Cheapskate Employers Insurance Arena. Now, I don't know if that's the arena they've been at or that's going to be someplace different, but that's basically when it's planned, December 11th. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people pretty much have said the same thing I have. That when they read what Ring of Honor put out there, and pretty much a little bit more information coming out about the entire situation, it's basically what I figured it was. And I'm sure, and again, everybody else pretty much that talked about this agreed, along the same lines, that it's a financial situation. I mean, the fact that Ring of Honor kept a lot of people contracted during the pandemic may have not been the best idea. I mean, I get you don't want to lose talent, to other organizations, especially during a financial struggle for everybody around the world, not just in this country, but around the world. You don't want to lose anybody to anybody else. So keeping them under contract, I could say probably wasn't the best idea, but the one positiveness out of this, or several positiveness out of this from what people have said, is that Ring of Honor basically not only kept them contracted, kept paying them and all that, but also because because of the whole situation we were in, they took the whole COVID pandemic situation very, very seriously. And if you want any more aspects on that, in a kind of inner workings kind of way, Brian Zane of Wrestling with Regret did a live stream yesterday, which I super chatted him, a couple of bucks here and there to support, and also, ask a few questions or talk about a few things here and there. And he said that when he was working with Ring of Honor, he started working with them a couple of years ago. He told them that he couldn't make a taping last year in Cleveland. Oh, well, a taping that was originally planned for Cleveland before the pandemic hit. But, that even though he said he couldn't make it, Ring of Honor still paid him for that event, even though I think they canceled it or they had to reschedule it or something. Again, I'll provide a link to that live stream. You guys can check it out yourself. But basically, he stated that he still got paid. So the one thing a lot of people take away from this as a positive is that, yeah, they kept them contracted. They took the whole pandemic, COVID situation, and how to basically, keep everybody safe and healthy from a protocol standpoint, very seriously. But also the fact that they kept paying them so they can, put food on the table for their families. But now, apparently, even though that was a good thing, it pretty much has come back to bite them in the rear. Because even though they did the right thing, financially, though, it wasn't, the best idea, period. I mean, these men and women that are under contract to Ring of Honor could have easily let them go and work elsewhere, and they'd still get paid. Probably not as much as Ring of Honor is paying them, but they'd still get paid. I mean, heck, if Ring of Honor were to let them go to, AEW or NWA, maybe make an appearance with NXT or whatever, or even Impact Wrestling, there's a good chance they might have been paid very decently. And, they wouldn't have to worry about, okay, maybe we can, loosen up on the contracts a little bit, maybe let them be freelance independent workers like they're meant to be, and go from there. But no, they kept them under contract. And like I said yesterday in the video, when you read that statement, that is code to me for the fact of they are struggling financially and they're struggling from an appealment standpoint when it comes to the fans. But we got to look at this also as what caused the finances. What did cause the finances? And one, again, like I said, and everybody else has kind of agreed with this, that it's good and as good as a situation as this was for Ring of Honor to do, it was keeping everybody fully contracted, especially, during the pandemic. Yes, Ring of Honor kept paying them. There's no doubt about that. Especially when they had to shut down for a bit before coming back without an audience. So they kept paying them, and that was good. That was good. I'm not faulting them for that. But, when you think about it, they could have, like I said, they could have let people go elsewhere, and they still would be able to pay some of the talent that they had fully contracted. But, they could save some money if they allowed some of the, other contracted wrestlers to be partially paid or partially contracted to them so that they can go to other places and get a decent payout there. But yeah, the one thing to me that is coming back to bite them financially is that, they kept people fully contracted. Again, it's a good thing they did that. So, even while paying people when they couldn't show up or when things got shut down, they still kept them safe, healthy and everything, and they still kept paying them. That's a good thing. I'll give them that. But still, it's a situation that even though with the good, there's always going to come some bad. That with the positive, there's going to come a negative. And unfortunately, this is the bad and the negative that's a result. Even though they had good intentions, there's always a price to be paid. And apparently right now, Ring of Honor is financially paying that price. Now, if it's not the fact that, they kept people fully contracted, it's also the fact that Ring of Honor would also be introducing some new championships or reintroducing some old championships to a new audience. For example, they brought back the Pure Championship. I get you want to get Ring of Honor back to its roots and show that, Pure Wrestling is, still a popular, what's the word I'm looking for? General when it comes to, pro wrestling overall. I can understand that, and that's why you wanted to bring it back. And along the lines as well, they also introduced the they reintroduced, they revamped the women's division, and they basically took the WOH championship and reimagined it as the Ring of Honor Women's World Title. And from a financial standpoint, that didn't help because they got to pay money, out to the people that are designing these championships for them to bring into the company to, put around the waist or shoulders to whoever the champions are going to be. And, that was, the case when they reintroduced the Pure title, and that was the case when they basically reimagined, rebooted the women's division and created, the women's world title for Ring of Honor instead of just keeping it WOH. That's it. And that's not the only championship either. I mean, before the pandemic hit, they introduced us to the Trios title. Now, you might say the Trios title was there way before, and that's true. It was. But here's the thing. Even spending financially on introducing championships way before this whole pandemic thing started, especially when it comes to a Trios title division, yeah, that's great and everything, but still, it's a lot of money you're shelling out. And sometimes even if you make that payment, long before, it's still going to come back and bite you. And, to me, creating these championships, recently, and if not previously, they all, the finances behind them always come back, to bite you. Even though you had good intentions to give everybody an opportunity to be champion, the finances to support these ventures, if you will, have come back to bite Ring of Honor, and that's not good. Now, the other thing too financially that could be hurting them is the fact that they're not bringing in the viewership numbers that Sinclair Broadcasting would hope they bring in, especially being on syndication. And one could say that Sinclair has nobody but themselves to blame for that, for the fact that they don't schedule Ring of Honor at a time where everybody can see it. Instead, they're scheduling them late at night between the time frames of 11 p.m. to, the time frames, I should say, between 11 p.m. and maybe 3 a.m. Yeah, there have been reports when Sinclair Broadcasting bought Ring of Honor, bought the ownerships, bought ownership full time of Ring of Honor, that when they put them on the syndicated channels, that basically they put them on at times where nobody would really be watching. 11 o'clock at night, 3 a.m., 2 a.m., 1 a.m., midnight, 4 a.m., 5 in the morning. They kept, putting them on these, depending on the stations they were on at different times, and that did not work. And if you want a wrestling program or a wrestling promotion that you're now the owners of to succeed financially, not just for them, but for you, you need to place them in a time slot that everybody can watch, everybody can see them at. When Ring of Honor was on Destination America, guess what? Their time slot after Impact was perfect. It was perfect. You had Impact and then you had Ring of Honor. And even though Destination America wasn't in the homes of many people, I was fortunate enough to have it. Guess what? I was able to watch Impact Wrestling, enjoy what I saw, whatever it was, they were presenting at the time. And then later on, and then immediately afterwards, I was able to basically keep my attention on this channel and the wrestling it had with Ring of Honor. And I enjoyed it. So to me, the time slot that Ring of Honor was on when it was on Destination America was a better time slot than what the syndicated Sinclair Broadcasting put them on after they bought ownership. And it's hurt them ever since. And from a financial standpoint, right, that's not good. Because you're not raking in the money that viewership numbers, syndicated, cable, big network or whatever, can help provide for you. So that didn't help in the long run either. So Sinclair Broadcasting, they're not out of the woods here. I mean, you could put the blame on Ring of Honor for not financially bringing in, the ticket sales, the merchandise sales maybe, not being appealing as much as they used to be when they first began about 20 years ago and stuff. You could put the blame on all of that and everything, but Sinclair Broadcasting's not out of the woods either. I mean, putting the show on at various times when nobody can watch it, that was dumb. And the fact that they didn't want to promote it? Come on, seriously. You invest and put a lot of money into this and you don't want to promote it? Even freaking Anthem promotes, Impact Wrestling. Everybody even points out that Anthem bought stock, if not full ownership of Access TV for that. That, they even made a deal with Twitch TV for that. And yet, you guys put them on a network or on syndicated channels at times nobody can watch them on. And that's what hurts. That also hurts basically in the long run from a financial standpoint. I mean, it's no wonder that today, I think, they're pretty much putting on their weekly Ring of Honor show, the Halloween edition, for everybody to see, through the YouTube channel. And guess what, Sinclair Broadcasting? YouTube is a good platform. They are. I mean, yeah, people might say that it's not as good as cable television or big broadcast television or whatever. But guess what? For a platform like Ring of Honor, they're the best solution. They are the best solution. So again, Sinclair Broadcasting is not out of the woodworks here. They too share the blame. This is basically the fact, or this is basically a result, not a fact, but basically the result and the fact that goes along with it, that both parties are at fault. That's what it is. Ring of Honor, for the fact that they were spending money, courtesy of Sinclair Broadcasting, to keep everybody contracted, which was a good thing. I'll give them that. It was a good thing, especially during the pandemic. I will give them that. But keeping most of that roster fully contracted, when you could have easily, changed that, restructured it, and said, hey, look, we're going to make it partially contracted so you guys can go elsewhere, and it kind of saves them money. Again, a good move on their part, but unfortunately with the positive came a negative, and that negative was the fact that financially they are struggling. And it didn't help. And then from another financial standpoint, you want to bring back the pure title. Okay, I get that. You want to go back to your roots and everything. That's fine. But still, you bring that back. You reimagine and basically purchase a new version of the women's world title to reintroduce and reboot the women's division in your company when it was fine the way it was. All you had to do was add in certain wrestlers or bring in certain women on occasions, not full-time but part-time, to compete in your division. That too hurt. And then even before this whole pandemic, you introduced, a couple of years prior, you introduced these trios titles, and that's great and everything, but how do you know back then whether or not, buying up all these trios championships, redesigning these trio championships, getting new ones, getting replicas, wasn't going to catch up to you? Because it did. It did catch up to you. And in the end, it caused you to get financial burnout to the point that now you have to take a step back and reevaluate the structure of your company. And then Sinclair, like I said, they're not at fault. I mean, what I'm trying to say is Sinclair, they're also at fault. Not at fault, but at fault, period. Sinclair Broadcasting shares the fault as well because, one, they didn't promote a lot of Ring of Honor's pay-per-views or, promote in various other places where you can find Ring of Honor, from the syndicated channels. And two, and this is the big one, they placed them at times, like I said, that nobody could watch them. The big difference between, ROH being on Destination America and then going to Sinclair Broadcasting syndication, like I said, is the fact that they were on at a decent time and people could watch them. Right after Impact, there was Ring of Honor. But what did Sinclair Broadcasting do? They decided, we're going to place them on anytime we want. Yeah, how is that helping out? Sinclair Broadcasting shares the blame too in this. They're not going to use Ring of Honor as a scapegoat here. They too share the blame. The point is, when Ring of Honor comes back, and I believe they will, hopefully somebody like Joe Koff, who's the COO of Ring of Honor, and other parties involved on both sides will look back at what happened here and realize, maybe we shouldn't have restructured the women's division and just kept it the way it was and just, brought in some women part-time to compete, if you will. As well as maybe they would realize, hey, that as good of an idea of bringing back the pure title, maybe we should have waited on that until we were fully out of this pandemic and we could financially afford to do it. And then most of all, keeping people fully contracted. Again, that was from a personal standpoint, that was a good move. But honestly, you could have restructured the contracts, explained to them why you're doing it, so that they can go work elsewhere where they're still contracted to you. And then again, Sinclair is not out of the woodworks because what? They don't promote Ring of Honor anywhere. They don't buy time anywhere to promote their show and where you can find it. And secondly, they didn't promote any of the pay-per-views. You know, what kind of partnership is that? That's not a good partnership. Period. That is not a good partnership whatsoever. That is not a good partnership, period. And and here's the thing. If I'm Joe Koff, and I'm the COO of the company, I make the suggestion that if Sinclair Broadcasting has no interest in us anymore, because obviously it sounds like, you know, they just wanted to buy Ring of Honor to say, hey, look, we're in the wrestling business. If I'm Joe Koff and they have no more interest in me as a company, then I asked them, or I suggested them, sell us to somebody else. Sell us to another place, to another organization, another, you know, overall conglomerate that will basically take better care of us and give us, you know, the promotion, give us the spotlight we deserve. That's what I would do if I'm Joe Koff. I would basically say, because if I have any say, I would come out and say, hey, you don't want us here anymore? Sell us to somebody else. Sell us to a conglomerate, network, cable channel, whatever, that will actually invest in us and not treat us like we're nothing to them, but just another, you know, business transaction they could say, hey, they have ownership of. Because that's what it sounds like Sinclair Broadcasting did here. You know, when they purchased Ring of Honor. And it's stupid. It is pathetic, you know, of Sinclair to do that. And everybody listening to this, everybody that's talked about this, even though they haven't said it, know it. They know this is... That Sinclair Broadcasting, again, they share fault with Ring of Honor. Both sides are at fault for what's going on here. But guess what? Sinclair actually... the fault that falls in their lap is more significant than what Ring of Honor did. Yeah, Sinclair Broadcasting okayed the signing full-time of a lot of these talents. Okayed the, bringing back the Pure title, restructuring the women's division and all that. I get that. I understand that. But Sinclair Broadcasting, even though they okayed for all that to happen from a financial standpoint, they should have held up their end of the bargain, and they didn't. It's kind of like TNN and ECW all over again. And like I said, if I'm Joe Koff, I go to basically Sinclair when we meet up again during one of the restructuring meetings, and I say, look, if you don't really have any plans for us to be an asset to you, a true asset, a financial, successful asset, sell our company to somebody else. Someone that will have true investment in us and give us an opportunity. That's what I would do if I'm Joe Koff. Either that, or I tell them, hey, let's call Tony Khan and let's start up a partnership with him, with his company, AEW, and ours, so that they can help us promote our return in 2022, with Supercard of Honor, and also it gives our talent and even our championships some exposure. Because again, before the partnership ended, look what it did for Impact Wrestling. Look what it did for them. Yeah, like I said, AEW may have, not promoted like the pay-per-views and all that, right? But guess what? They still gave exposure to the championships. They still gave exposure to some of the talent. And it got people to look up where they can find Impact Wrestling. Like I said, Sinclair's fault is more significant. I mean, they're the ones that okayed everything that happened financially with Ring of Honor. The titles, the fully signing the contracts and all that. But their fault is more significant than Ring of Honor because they didn't promote them. They put them on various times during the syndicated channels. They didn't promote the pay-per-views. Their fault is more significant than Ring of Honor. And again, like I was saying before the phone rang there, if I'm Joe Koff, during one of these meetings, I look at Sinclair and I say, look, if you don't want to invest in us anymore, sell us to somebody that will, invest in us and give us the opportunity to, be, reborn, be rebooted, or come back, if you will. Give us the promotion we deserve and all that. That will legitimately give us a chance and put us on a time slot that works for everybody. Or if I'm Joe Koff, like I was saying before the phone rang, I suggest talking to Tony Khan and partnering with AEW so that all the talent we have, that was associated with us, can go work with them. But also, if I have a championship and everything, have my championships promoted there, and then maybe through the partnership, suggest and agree upon that as you get closer to April or spring of 2022, that they start helping you promote the return of Ring of Honor with Supercard of Honor, around maybe WrestleMania weekend or around the first weekend of April. And to me, if he makes that kind of a suggestion, they agree to do it, and Tony Khan, who I think would be more than willing to help out, to me, it would be a win-win for them. It would be. I mean, like I was saying, look what it did for Impact Wrestling. I mean, yeah, they didn't promote the pay-per-views or anything, but still, the exposure of the talent, the exposure of the titles, it got people to want to look up, search, and find out more about Impact Wrestling, and when they did, they gave it a chance, and they've enjoyed it. I mean, this is why they were able to sell out Sam's Town the way they did for Bound for Glory. Despite how you might feel about the attendance and everything, they were able to sell it out. This is why they're able to, go and book Dallas, Texas, probably where they were before for Slammiversary, the same area, for Hard to Kill. Because it was all thanks to their partnership with AEW. Now, will they reignite that partnership down the line? Probably. I mean, the door's always open. But if Impact Wrestling can benefit from that, Ring of Honor could definitely benefit from it. And if I'm Joe Koff, I either suggest selling the company to somebody else or basically partnering with AEW and Tony Khan to give us that exposure. And again, if that second option is agreed upon and Tony Khan's like, hey, no problem, come on in, we'll do this, it's a win-win. It's a win-win in the end. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people have talked about possibly, when it comes to Tony Khan, him maybe buying up, the rights to Ring of Honor. Like I said, Joe Koff could suggest selling the company, right? And one thing that Alex Six brought up, because he was going back and forth with Jeff Siegel, the Select Daddy of OTR Central, both of them were going back and forth, and Jeff suggested, and Alex brought this up in his live stream, that if Tony Khan was to buy up Ring of Honor, which again could be part of that suggestion that I make about Joe Koff saying, hey, if you don't want to invest in us anymore, then give us to somebody else, sell us to somebody else. Tony Khan could be that person. Tony Khan could be that person. And what Jeff suggested to Alex, and when Alex brought this up, I was like, yeah, that does sound like a good idea. That really sounds like a good idea. That Ring of Honor could potentially be AEW's NXT. They could be. They could be AEW's NXT. Because they could be a feeding system. They could have a lot of the up-and-coming talent that they showcase on Dark and Dark Elevation go be part of that. They have all the championships that are needed to, make it work. And then on occasions, you could have Ring of Honor alumni like CM Punk, Bryan Danielson show up to maybe do a promo, maybe have a match here and there. Same with Lance Archer, same with Miro, same with Omega, who's been in Ring of Honor before. You could have this all take place, and it would be beneficial. It would be beneficial for both sides. And when you think about it, AEW could even promote a lot of the Ring of Honor events, which they could still keep the titles of, but showcase them for free on the Ring of Honor YouTube page if they want to keep that, or they want to integrate Ring of Honor into their channel, if you will, and they could showcase for free a lot of the Ring of Honor events, now under the AEW banner, which would be like Ring of Honor Super Card of Honor, Ring of Honor Death Before Dishonor, Ring of Honor Final Battle, Ring of Honor the the version of the Breakout Tournament, or the Ring of Honor Prospect Tournament. They could do all that, and it would work. It would work in the long run for both. And if Ring of Honor decides, hey, financially they're back on their feet, and let's say Joe Koff, still is the COO, wants to buy Ring of Honor for himself, as his own company, so they can go off and, give other people opportunity to compete elsewhere. And, if Tony Khan is what he says he is, a fan that likes competition and likes to give people other avenues to compete at, then I could see that happening too as a result. So a feeding system, being the version of NXT, yeah, I could see that. I could see that. And again, that would tie into Joe Koff suggesting as one of the options to either sell them to somebody else that will give them the opportunity to, shine and have the spotlight on them, or make that partnership with AEW to help them get more exposure and basically back on their feet, when it comes to trying to get, back in the eyes of the wrestling fans with Supercard of Honor in spring of next year. So to me, I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that idea. I really do. But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. A lot of people, when they read what Joe Koff had to say later on, to them it sounds like Joe Koff's not even sure Ring of Honor is going to be around. But honestly, I think it will be. I think it will be. And again, I think what he has to do to make sure that happens is he's got to speak up and make one of those two suggestions. He really does. And here's something that's, I know it's a strange comparison, but here's something that's weird. Well, not weird, but a strange comparison and kind of very similar. You see, back in 2004, I was hired by Foodfuless in Lawrence, Kansas. And Foodfuless was like right across the street from where I lived. It's like, here was my apartment, here was Foodfuless, do. That's it. Across the street, no problem. I can go home for lunch for an hour, half hour, whatever, and come back and no time would be lost. Anyway, when I worked there, I was happy. I enjoyed it. The environment was great. I was bagging, I was stocking, I was bringing in cards when they needed. I had no issue whatsoever. And what happened, which again is a strange comparison, is in 2005, we started to get word of the fact that we potentially were going to be shut down. That Foodfuless as a whole was shutting down a lot of stores due to financial reasonings. And our store was coming out as one of the potential stores that could probably face that. And we were like, nah, it's not going to happen because, we're convenient for a lot of folks, especially those that live where I live or in that vicinity. We're convenient. Our prices are reasonable. There's no way we're going to shut down. But unfortunately, that's what happened. Because you can thank the fact that Walmart down the street at that time was expanding from a regular Walmart to a supercenter. And then we had Target doing the same thing, which was right across the street from them. And then down the street going this way towards like where Blockbuster was and where Hastings is and everything. You had Dillon's. You had the Dillon's stores, which was basically their equivalent of Lucky's, if you will. Lucky's and Safeway. So you had them. So you had all these places, and at first you're thinking that's not a big deal. More places for people to shop, right? But to us, we felt like, hey, we're still going to be around because nobody's going to want to see us be shut down. But unfortunately, later in 2005, ironically around this time, Christmas time, if you will, we got told that we were going to close down. And for a lot of us, it hit us emotionally. It hit me emotionally. And I remember walking out of that meeting just, crying and everything. Like, I had been let go before, and it emotionally gets to me. There's no doubt about that. But this was the first time where emotionally I was not being let go because of something I did. It's because my job was shutting down. And it hurt. Now, yeah, there was some people I bumped into from work that would say, hey, people are wondering if you want to come back for one more week. And I was like, no. I was like, as much as I appreciated the fact that they valued what I brought to the table, I was like, no, I don't want to be there when we finally shut the doors. And we shut the doors basically around the beginning of the year. And like I said, it hurt a lot of us. It hurt a lot of us in the end because, we enjoyed being there. We made good friendships. We got along good. It's just one of those situations that you didn't see coming. And you didn't know why. You know, some people faulted that Walmart was was becoming that super center and, you know, evolving into a super center, I should say, and thus, you know, people could buy groceries there. Target was doing the same thing. You had Dillon's, and it was like, you know, obviously to them, the people that own the company, our store was in a bad position, and it wasn't. Our store was one of the best stores in Lawrence, Kansas to shop at. I mean, yeah, we had a Dillon's, we had a Dillon's down one street, and we had a Hy-Vee down the other, but people still loved us. They still loved coming to our store. They enjoyed it, and like I said, you know, they loved the environment, and it was just hard. It was just hard. So I can understand how a lot of the talent went through the Zoom calls that they had, according to some of the updates that they had with Joe Koff and Sinclair Broadcasting, how they feel. Like, yeah, we're still going to work and everything, but we only got a couple of months left, and then, you know, that's it. But, you know, to me, you know, Ring of Honor, you know, the big difference between what happened to my store and what's going on with Ring of Honor is my store was making money. And we got shut down because the company that owned, the people that overall owned us, just felt like we weren't in a good position. But, you know, here's the thing. The difference was we were making money. We weren't hemorrhaging it. We weren't, you know, spending recklessly on things. We were making money. Ring of Honor, because Sinclair Broadcasting okayed it, were hemorrhaging money. They were spending money and everything instead of restructuring when they should have, you know, to save money. Instead of holding off on decisions that they made until, you know, the time was right. And again, like I said, you know, Sinclair Broadcasting's not, you know, out of the woods either, because they, you know, have blame, aim, and fault to take responsibility of, probably more so than Ring of Honor. So, like I said, this is a strange comparison, but it's very similar. But yeah, you know, the thing with Ring of Honor, like I said, I believe they're going to come back, and I believe one or two things is going to happen that's going to make that occur. Either they're going to get sold to somebody else, you know, that's going to invest in them, take the time and invest in them and make them into what they used to be, if not better. Or they're going to partner with AEW to help, you know, promote their comeback and everything. Or maybe the person that buys them will be AEW, Tony Khan, and, you know, for a time to build them back up, they will be a feeding system. They will be the NXT of AEW, to the point that once they're back on their feet financially and stuff, maybe Joe Koff could buy the company from Tony Khan, and, you know, give, you know, the wrestling world once again another promotion for people to go to. But we'll see what happens as the months go on. But anyway, though, guys, I just wanted to come on here and do this follow-up video on it. What are your thoughts on the whole situation? Comment down below. Live chat during the premiere, which I hopefully you have. Like the video. Check out the Teespring store. Also check me out at patreon.com/bwroses to support my brand there. Also check me out at BW Roses Discussions on all your favorite audio podcast locations except for Pandora. Also check me out at BW Roses on VENMO, and also check out my Venmo if you want to help donate there. So until next time, guys, God bless. Take care. I'm out.